Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jade and today I am doing 10 books I want to read in 2020. So first I have to say is I am uploading a list of 5-star reading predictions, and those are 10 books I already want to read in 2020. And these are 10 more because what I did last year is I did 19 books to read in 2019, and it kind of works out perfectly that it's 10 and 10. So if you haven't watched that video, definitely watch that. Those are the books that I'm like the most excited about, the ones that I'm actually digging into now. And we're gonna do just 10 books that I want to read in 2020. The first thing I think we should do is look at the books I had on my list for 2018 and see how many I actually finished. So I have to look into that now because I don't know, and I know it's not gonna be many of them. Okay, you guys, I just watched my old video from last year of books that I wanted to read. And can I just say, I'm so glad that I'm not filming on my old iPhone anymore because those videos sucked. Looking back at my channel, I'm kind of disappointed in myself. The thing that I hate is the videos that I didn't have thumbnails for, so I just used the curated one. All look awful. Anyways, I actually did really better than I thought. So I read 5 of the books this year that I wanted to read out of 9. So I actually read more than 50%. And it's funny because looking at this list, I have none of these books that I didn't get to on my books that I want to read in 2020. So it's almost like I know that they're not books that I'm going to reach for, so they're not on my want to read list anymore because I didn't reach them last year, which is kind of really cool. So one of the ones I didn't read was Reaper at the Gates by Sabaa Tahir. It's the 3rd book in the, what's the trilogy name? I don't know, but it's the 3rd book in the series. The first one is An Ember in the Ashes, and I really love it, but it's been so long that I'm actually going to have to reread the other 2 books before I can read the 3rd one, which is probably why I haven't read it yet, and I don't own it. I think I would honestly probably do like an audiobook reread of the series because I read them all physical copy, so that could be kind of cool if I eventually get to that. The next book I didn't get to is Magic Study by Maria V. Snyder. It's the 2nd book to the Poison Study series. The reason I haven't gotten to that one is because I don't own it, and I tried to buy it and the retailer sent me a different book, and so I still don't have it, and it's kind of like almost a frustrating experience because I super duper want to read that series, but not enough to where I'll just go out and buy it. I tried it once and it didn't work. It's because I want the specific copy. I want the old copies because they redid the covers and it looks crappy. Anyways, a book that I read is One Dark Throne by Kendara Blake. I listened to that on audiobook. It was pretty good. I would say that it's like a 3.5 to 4-star book. I think it's really good, but it didn't stick with me. Like, I don't think about it all the time, which is sort of like my 4 to 5-star book range. The next book that I didn't read was Heart of Thorns. I do still really want to read it, but I thought about including it in this list and then decided not to. So it's actually still a book I'm really interested in, just not as much anymore, which is sad because at one point I really wanted to read it. The next one was Furyborn by something Kincaid, I believe. You know, I have all these books, but I don't want to pull them off my shelf. I did read that one. That one was, I loved the world building, but the plot was not as good as the world building. I definitely will continue with the series, I think, because I did really like it. So I have no idea what to rate that one. Oh well, that one's like a, I want to say 4-star book just because I loved the world so much and how it was made. I think that part is so cool. I should stop slumping, sorry. The next one was Gemina by Amy Kristoff and, by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. Got it. Love that book, 5 out of 5 stars. One of my favorite books. Definitely should be a movie. I think it'd be a great movie if people pull it off right. It'd be so cool. It's like you're reading a movie. It's so action-packed. It's so good. Love it. One of my favorite books. Obsidio is actually on my 5-star read predictions for 2020, so we're continuing with that one. Then the next one was Wind Witch. That's the 2nd book to the Truth Witch series. I did read that. It was decently good. I don't know, I feel like the series has so much good, like, I think it's really good, but it doesn't stick with me, which kind of sucks. The next one was Child and Bone. I did not read that. Do eventually want to read it, but haven't yet. And I thought about putting it on this list, but it's not really, like, up there for me. It's gonna be a pickup when I want to. Probably would love it as an audiobook, actually. But I'm really loving audiobooks, you guys. It makes reading so much fun. I don't know. I read books faster, and I like that. And then the last one was Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. And I read it, loved it, 5 stars. One of my favorite books. Very enjoyable. So now we're gonna get into the 2020 reading predictions. And this year we're also, if we don't read all of them, gonna go for like a 6 out of 10 sort of deal. Because a lot of these are books that I've had for a couple years and really want to read and still haven't, but I always want to read them. So it's like the want is there, and that's kind of what I went with for this year's. So the first one I have is Muse of Nightmares, oh my, by Laini Taylor. This is the second book to the Strange to the Dreamer series. I loved the first one. I bought this one right when it came out, but I still haven't read it. Really need to. It's about this world. Sorry if I'm staring weird too. My mirror's up here and I keep staring at myself. But it's about this world where there was a whole city that disappeared 200 years ago, and no one can even remember its name. And this boy is a librarian, and he has dedicated his whole career to doing research into this lost city. And then one day a caravan arrives from that city looking for the best of the best to help them with a problem that they're having. And he ends up getting to come along sort of as their resident storyteller. But he discovers so much more about this world and is really important. The next book I really want to read is Wicked Like a Wildfire by Lena Popovic. I wanted to read this forever. The cover is gorgeous. I need to pick it up. I've had it in so many like monthly TBRs, never read it. A lot of these are books I've had in my TBRs I've never read too, because I'm like, I want to read them forever and I still haven't. I don't really know what this one's about, but I kind of like that. I think that makes it really interesting. I have a leaf pressed in here apparently, so that's cool. And so I just know that this has, every girl in the family has one special power. That's all I know about it. The next book I'm sure no one's heard about. I picked it up at Half Price Books, a used bookstore, and I just think it's going to be super hilarious, and the cover is really eye-catching to me, and I just want to read the story. And that's The Constantine Affliction by T. Aaron Payton, and this is a steampunk medieval sort of, well, steampunk time period, 1800 sort of book, where the genders of everyone get swapped. So all male, like there's a disease, and if you get it, if you're male, you'll become female, and if you're female, you'll become male. So it's gonna be interesting because it's gonna talk a lot about like, it's gonna change people's viewpoints on gender and things, and in a time when men were largely in charge, things are definitely gonna be mixed up. And I just think it's gonna be so funny. Like, it just looks really funny. It is 1864, so I was right about the time period. Oh, it kills some of its victims and physically transforms the ones that don't die into the opposite sex. So the next book I'm also very excited about because I know I'll love it. This should low-key be on my 5-star reading list, but it's not. This will be like, this is also probably 5-star read. And that's Red Sister by Mark Lawrence. It is about a nun who lives in a nunnery where they also teach you to be female assassins. And that is honestly all I need to know. Honestly, all I need to know. Adult assassin books are amazing. And that is what I've discovered thanks to Jay Kristoff and a lot of other authors. The next one I have is Nocturna by Mara Martinet. Man, that was hard to see at the angle I was looking at it. So it says on the cover, a faceless thief, a desperate prince, a darkness unleashed. So I think it's dual perspective. A female who's like a thief who can change her face. I believe it's sort of like the shapeshifter sort of thing, and a prince who needs help. She gets caught by a powerful mobster and is put on an impossible mission to steal a legendary treasure from the royal palace, and that's probably how she meets the prince. And helps him try to end an evil. I think this book is gorgeous, which is probably why another reason I want to pick it up, but also Shapeshifter. It has surprisingly low ratings on Goodreads. I actually think this is one of my lowest rated books on my TBR shelf, but that honestly doesn't mean anything to me. I still really want to read it. The next book I have, I also really need to continue, and this is the only, so 2 out of my 10 books are continuations of series. Probably should be more, but I don't really want to all the time. But it's Escaping from Houdini by Carrie Manistalco. This also is it won't be a 5-star, but it's a book I'm really excited to read. A 4-star for sure. It's the 3rd book in the Jack the Ripper series, which is from the point of view of a girl, and again, the 1800s London, whose uncle is a mortician, and she wants to be a mortician too. But this is a time period when women don't even really have jobs, and when they do, it's womanly jobs. So her being a mortician is a really big deal. So she's training under her uncle, and then the Jack the Ripper killings start happening, and she gets involved with the mystery. And then it continues on with the series, and it has different famous situations. So this one sounds pretty awesome. It takes place on a boat, kind of like the Titanic sort of situation, but they don't sink, and it involves magic. So I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. Also, really good love story. I hear that it starts to focus more on the love story later on in the series, so we'll see how we like that. But next we have The Hazelwood by Melissa Elbert. Been on too many to be read, so it finally needs to be read, which is the case of a couple more of these books. Sorry, my nose itches. But this book is about a girl whose grandma is a famous author of these really dark, chilling fairy tales. And her mother has nothing, I don't think they really know the grandma, nothing to do with her. And then her mother disappears, and she has to enlist her grandma's help because it has to do, the sound of that book opening. First time, huh? It has to do with the fairy tales that her grandma wrote about. I am pretty sure that I am correct. Yes, I am correct. So I'm intrigued. And this cover feels so nice. I love it. It's also a book I bought right away, which means I should read it. The next book I have is The Queen of Blood by Sarah Beth Durst. I've just always wanted to read it, again with the really intriguing cover, which I've realized is very important because it keeps the books in your memory. So a lot of the books that are on this are books that have really pretty covers that I've wanted to read because of the story, but the covers keep them in my mind, whereas some of the other books that I've wanted to really read, the covers don't as much, and I kind of forget about them faster. Well, it's a fantasy world. Everything has a spirit. The willow tree with leaves that kisses the pond, the stream that feeds the river, the wind that exhales fresh snow. But the spirits that reside within the land want to get rid of all humans. One woman stands between malevolent spirits and the end of humankind, the Queen. She alone has the magical power to prevent the spirits from destroying every man, woman, and child. But queens are only human, and no matter how strong or good they are, the threat of danger always looms. Amazing. See? Told you. Amazing. Sounds really good. The next book I have, also been on a lot of TBRs, Spellbook of the Lost and Found by Mara Foley Doyle. I need to read this. I've been wanting to read it for 2 years. It's ridiculous that I haven't yet. What I'm actually going to do is once I finish my 10 books that I already talked about with my 5-star reads, they have their own specific shelf right there. These books are going to go right there, so they're also going to be Jade, you want to read those. And I think that'll actually help me a lot with getting books that I want to read done. And then the last one is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Has really bad reviews. People do not like this book. I still want to read it because I love the premise, and I kind of just want to see what everyone thinks and if I'll think in similar ways. But it's about a girl who gets into Yale, but on the agreement from her wealthy people who are paying for it that she'll look into the cults in Yale. So, well, I guess dark societies, not really cults, but cults. And I've just heard it's really slow, but I really do want to read it. It calls to me a lot, so I'm intrigued. And that is my 10 books. I'm gonna go make a pizza, I'm starving, and then I gotta write an essay for my final in history class. Yay. But that's books I want to read in 2020, and please feel free to leave in the comments down below books that you want to read in 2020. I'd love to know if you've read any of these, what you think. If you want to read any of these, tell me all that down below. And I'll see you all in my next one. Bye-bye!